I'm a Feldenkrais practitioner from South America living in the US, and this is my passion. The reason being because it's a really good way to slow down, to be present, to become aware, and to accept yourself in whichever stage you are. You will see as we go through the movement lesson that the number one thing I'll ask you to do as we begin is to observe without changing anything, to become a witness of your experience. So it comes with great dose of compassion and acceptance. That's what I love about this work. So I'll show you Feldenkrais one more time. Dr. Moshe Feldenkrais, he was a Russian Jew. He left his home when he was 13 years old, took a backpack and went to Palestine and started his journey. 13 years old, can you imagine? He ended in the Sorbonne getting a PhD and then moving to the US, teaching groups of sometimes 270 people at a time. There was a big movement of self-discovery and human development in the 60s, 70s, and he joined right there with Gurdjieff and Rolf and all the meditators in that time. So that's what he was doing back then and how this work made its way to the US. He wrote this book called Awareness Through Movement. Very first book. It's a series of 10 lessons, 10, 12 lessons, I forget now. He aimed to explain what was happening because his success began in healing himself, and then he started healing people one at a time. And then he attempted to put this onto the greater public, so he wrote this book. This is a great book, though sometimes it's not easy. I tried to read this book 3 times before I could read it. It took me years to get into it. And what I love about this book is the first sentence, which I will read to you as we begin the practice. But I also wanted to point out, in case some of you are more experienced, yes, Sandra, of course, this one is called Awareness Through Movement. That is the name of this group practice we're going to do today. I love that. We have emojis now. Yay. And this is a combination of theory and lessons. Of course, I prefer that you do the audio lessons. There's a lot of them on my page because it's hard to read and put the book down and do the movement. You'll find a lot of these ones on my page, and you can just follow the voice to do the movements. And I will read from this in just a moment. But in case some of you are not beginners, or are more familiar with my work and you heard me talk about these things before, I want to point at you on another book he wrote called Body and Mature Behavior. And this is partly a connection to what we're going to do today. We're not going to talk about the book, but he says this is a study of anxiety, sex, gravitation, and learning. And those were fundamental concepts for him when he wrote this in the 40s, late 40s. Let me look at the exact date. This is 1949. Because he knew that there was a correlation between our relationship with gravity, how we organize ourselves in space, how our bodies, our skeletons relate to the environment, which has a force in it called gravity and is pushing us down all the time and inviting us to contract and collapse. And hide and retreat and go into survival mode, yes? We have to use a skeleton to cancel gravity so we can be tall and move forward and have a free breath and so forth. Learning, which is at the core of our work, is all about learning about ourselves in relation to the world, to others, and so forth. Sex, because he saw sex as the determinant between maturation and immaturity, and he proposed that a lot of us are in arrested development because we don't fully express certain areas of our sexuality that keep us repressed and immature and not fully alive, if you will, if you want to make that connection between life force and sexual expression. And anxiety, which I think was brilliant. If you think 1950s, I mean, it was a different world. People were perhaps coping with alcohol and cigarettes and who knows what else. But anxiety is always the response of the nervous system when we are overwhelmed or hyper-regulated, right? Not down-regulated, but when we are on fight or flight, when we are under stress. And there's a relationship between the way we hold our body, how we breathe, if we're running 100 miles an hour or we can slow down, and our anxiety levels. So by slowing down and centering ourselves and finding gravity, and in relation to gravity, finding that ground and length and space that I was telling you about a moment ago, that hopefully we will find through the movement lesson, we reduce anxiety because we suddenly go from fight or flight, stress hormones ramping up, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, all the stress hormones, to a more down-regulated nervous system. The other branch begins to kick in. You will feel rested, belly sounds of digestion, perhaps yawn or relaxation in your larynx. All of these are side benefits of the work. The parasympathetic begins to kick in, and the stress hormones begin to get regulated with the more feel-good hormones, dopamine, oxytocin, perhaps even a little serotonin. Yeah. So he knew, without even knowing these terms back then in the 50s, that as we engage in this work and our breath regulates and we find a different orientation in gravity, we begin to feel better. We begin to reduce anxiety. And I propose that we explore that in relation to the self, in relation to self-love, self-awareness, self-acceptance, and so forth. So to begin the work, the actual movement work, I'm going to ask you to place an intention, knowing that this is what's behind the practice and this is my knowledge here that I'm sharing with you. What is your specific intention? If you had perhaps a question or a wish that this can help you bring more clarity into an area. I'll suggest a couple things, but please look for which is yours, which one sounds true to you. I was thinking about, for me, sometimes when I look at self-love, it's tricky to see when to place that need, that is a basic human need for love and connection, in others versus in self. So I was thinking about relationships and thinking about how much easier it is to place that fulfillment of that need onto other people. I have 2 children. I'm single at the moment, but I've been dating. And I think so many times we put that almost expectation of that fulfillment of that need outwardly, like outside on somebody else. And then it becomes really tricky, because the moment you're not feeling it, you get depleted. So I was thinking, could Feldenkrais help in this case to shift again the attention inward and see how can I turn that fulfillment in through myself, through my own replenishment of that, and how would that look like? So please take a look at your needs, take a look at your wishes, and see if you can just put it out there as an intention that towards the end of this practice, maybe you saw a new connection between that which you're thinking about right now, that need, that wish, that desire, and what Feldenkrais can offer. And the reason why I think it's fun to think that one of the principles is that we make the impossible possible to begin with is because a lot of these topics or sometimes even needs or challenges that we carry as humans sometimes become so familiar to us. If you're a person that is married for a long time, you don't question that you're going to get your love from somebody that you're married with. Yes, if you have kids, you don't question that your kids are going to love you and give you that. If you have a chronic pain, you don't question that that's pain that is yours and it's arthritis or whatever it is, and you're going to have it and that's it. If you have a job and you've been at the job for a while, you don't question that you're going to get your paycheck every so often and it's going to come through the mail or direct deposit. Or we get used to. We're creatures of habit. So when we think something is impossible, sometimes it's in the realm of how we see the world and how we got used to thinking about that. So the first thing that happens when we embark in this process is that we begin to question if that is really impossible. And we may go through the body, we may do things with the body sometimes that feel impossible to prove to ourselves that there's a possibility there. Even if you cannot even do it yet, movement-wise. And then, of course, you can apply it to your thoughts, to your feelings, to your behaviors. But let's say I invite you now to think of putting the back of your foot on the back of your head, which is actually a yoga pose. And even if you don't think you can do it, the moment we begin to include the possibility of it in your imagination, now the opportunity expands. There's a little more room, and something that you didn't consider, now we're beginning to think about. Once we begin to move, the possibility becomes a little more tangible, a little more concrete. You'll see as we do the movement lesson. And eventually you notice that with repetition, it becomes a little easier. With compassion, with kindness, with awareness, it becomes a little easier. You soften something. And that's the opportunity, that's the window that opens for you to say, well, I didn't think this was possible. It was not in I never thought even of this before I hear it now. And now I'm making it possible in my mind. And now I'm playing with it a little bit. And it feels a little easier than when I first even thought of it, which I thought, that's a wild idea. And after a while, it's almost like Play-Doh that you soften it enough that it becomes not only easy, but pleasurable. Okay, so that's the premise. We're gonna find that through the movement. And I want you to have it as a premise, because if you find yourself at some point blocked, thinking, no, this is impossible. What she's asking me is not, I cannot do that. I never done that before. Which you will today, and it will be a small movement, but it's still gonna feel like, what? In that moment, I will ask you to breathe and just contemplate that it's a possibility, that is humanly possible. And maybe you've never done it before, but it's okay. And you won't hurt. It will be fine. And then see how with patience you can get a little easier, okay? And we'll come back to this concept at the end and see if you could have an experience of it. So it's not just in the mind, but it's also in the body. Now, what is interesting about, and I want to read from this book just one or two sentences. What is interesting about our self-image, he starts the book by saying, we act in accordance with our self-image. So when I say, oh, this, I thought it was impossible, that's the self-image, right? Think about something already that you don't think you're good at. So let's see, for me, I would say, I'm not really that good at speaking Russian. Like, never tried, I don't know. It's not my thing. But it is a possibility, but it's not in my self-image. Or you can apply the same thing to you, cooking, painting, dancing, whatever it is, right? We create an image of ourselves where these things are possible, impossible, I'm not good at that, yeah? Now, he says this self-image, which in turn governs our every act. The self-image governs our every act. So if you don't think you can do it, you won't go and try it. If you don't think you're good at that, you might just exclude it. And sadly, as we get older, this becomes not only different things like speaking a different language or trying something new, but it becomes daily things. So some people don't think they can run anymore, or hike a high hill, or hug, or learn a new skill, or adapt their job to a new job, or communicate in a different way, or stop interrupting when they speak, or tie their shoes in a new way. You know, all these little things which you would think, well, that's obvious, you can do that. Our image of ourselves gets so ingrained, so set in the brain, that then we restrict our options to the point that we almost like make life smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller for us. So again, applied to the theme of today, if we act in accordance with our self-image, and this self-image governs our every act, how do we see ourselves in relation to self-love, to relationship with the self and with other in love? What is our image? So I'll ask you now to pause for a moment and just consider that. What is your self-image? Knowing that is commanding your every thought, action, feeling. How do you see yourself? And some of us have a very clear image of the self, and some of us have a very vague, almost blurry, and it's all good. So as we start, just please only observe what is coming up. As I give you this prompt, we're applying Feldenkrais to relationships. First, the relationship with the self, which is foundational, and then we're going to expand it to the relationship with a loved one. Could be a partner, or could be a child, perhaps, that we're going to do family next time. So I'd rather we keep it to the self, and a partner maybe even, but just like right, very close, right here. We're going to work with the foundation. So the self-image we have governs our every act, our every thought, our every behavior. So let's consider that. And now, to make the lesson more productive for you, I'm going to invite you to think that this self-image is not set in stone. So if it's blurry, or if you know very well, oh, I'm a single person, or I don't this, or I do that, or I like this, or I like that, okay? Consider that this self-image has been created by your lineage, by what you inherit from your parents, your ancestors, by the education that you received from schooling to your peers, and by the self-education, what you taught yourself. And that includes unlearning some of the things that you were taught by your peers and your teachers and your parents and caregivers, right? So these three pillars, what you inherit from the family lineage and your culture and the country you were born in and the conditions of that country when you were born, your education and your self-education. So that's forming that image of yourself. And it's not set in stone. It's malleable. Number one, it requires that you are okay with this, that you believe that it's malleable. If you think your brain is set in stone, all dogs don't learn new tricks, then this is not maybe for you, because you won't be able to absorb new learning. But if you think that you can learn until the very last day of your life, then pay attention, because this is exactly what we do here. So now we're learning about our self-image and knowing that it's malleable, that it's okay, that it changes, that you can change your mind, you can change your heart, you can change your movement, you can change your attitude, you can change your behaviors, okay? That's the space that we move in. Yes, there's a little bit of uncertainty because we don't know what's going to happen. But yes, there's also the freedom of discovering new choices, new areas where you didn't think you had the option, right? The impossible now made possible, even just as a possibility, as an opportunity, okay? So we're now going to apply all this to a movement lesson. I'm going to do something in sitting. I may just move my camera a little back so you can see more of my body, but it's not for you to copy me. I would rather you look within for what I explained at the beginning, for the reasons I explained before. Mainly so your attention is inward and you discover your sensations, your thoughts, your feelings, and how they connect. And we're going to work with this simple movement that is going to include your legs, your torso, your head and eyes. And the only condition I'm going to ask you is to keep an open mind and to don't question yourself if you're doing it right or wrong, okay? Because I won't be demonstrating too much. It's for you to trust yourself and your movements and the intelligence of your body, okay? So let me see if I can pull my camera back taking a moment to say if you have any questions, you can definitely put them in the chat. So I'm seated now on my piano bench because I play the piano, so I don't have any back behind me, see? But if you do have a back rest on your chair, come to the forward edge of the chair so you have more room to move, okay? You can close your eyes or keep them open. And put your feet on the ground so you really feel both legs, uncross your legs. You can spread your feet the width of your shoulders. And now begin to feel that connection between the feet and the ground. And if your pelvis is free, as you push, you're gonna feel that you get a little taller. So see if this is the case for you. You're just sitting there, but you press on the ground a little and something happens, you get a little taller. Now, if you're rounded and you push, you're not gonna get a lot taller. You're just maybe gonna bounce a bit. So see if you can sit in the tallest part of your sit bones where you get the tallest. And how do you know? You can roll back a bit and you can roll forward and then find the middle. Arch the back, round the back, and see if you can find the middle point. In the middle, you're not collapsed and you're not arched, you're just tall. The breath is a little easier. So see if you can find that place and now push. Press on the ground. Maybe even squeeze your glutes a little bit and feel that, it's almost like your whole body activates and turns in. It creates more engagement of your core, your spine. And now release that and just find that length. Again, we're looking for a neutral pelvis where you're not rounded, your stomach isn't tight, and you're not arched. You're simply neutral. Feldenkrais gave us this image. He said, imagine you're sitting with two scales, one under each buttock and one under each foot. Old bathroom scales with the needles, and both scales weight the same amount. So you're not heavy on one side, you're not tilted forward, you're just even. So see if you can find that, and it's much easier with the eyes closed. Much easier. So that's why I close my eyes sometimes when I guide. Okay, so now we're neutral, and I'm gonna ask you to, I'm gonna take this off, and I'm gonna ask you to place one of your hands over one of your shoulders. We're gonna find out which side is easier for you. But for now, just place one of your hands on the one over one shoulder and the other one under the armpit. And you have your arms kind of like in a hold here. One elbow over the other, okay? And just round a bit here and arch. And maybe just go side to side. You can push with the right foot, go side to side a little and see how that feels. If this feels impossible, be with me, bear with me a little and see that it's gonna be easier in a moment. You're pushing through the right foot now and taking you can imagine you're taking your whole side to the left. Now the right side gets a little lighter, the right buttock. Your right side of the ribs. You can stay on the left side if you want to for a moment. Come back. We're simply creating a little movement through the torso, connecting it to the feet. And put it down, rest. Feel the difference between the right side and the left. Right side from shoulder to foot. Left side from foot to shoulder. And now do it again. Place your right foot on the ground. Imagine you can push on it like a pedal on the gas, the car. Place your right hand over the left shoulder. Cross your chest. Your left hand under the armpit of the right arm. And explore that movement across your diagonal line where you push on the right foot and you lean. So now the weight is really different. You're not in neutral. You're you're sideways. And one side of your body, the more you move, the more you'll feel this. One side gets a little shorter, the other side is longer. One side is heavy, the other side is light. And if you're confused right now, it's perfect. If you're having a question of, is this right? I don't know. That's okay. That's how we learn. This is exactly designed to create a little bit of stirring in your brain, a new movement. You probably haven't done it before. You're not sure it's possible for you, but I'm telling you, it's okay. And you don't have to be right or wrong. Just play with me. Just play with the movement. What else can you add to it? Can you add your head? Does your head want to move? Can you add your breath? And if you're contracting anywhere, say palms are tight or fingers or toes are clenched, just relax. They're not helping. That's called parasitic effort. It's tension that doesn't know what to do, so go there. But just let it go. And simply push off the right foot. I'm going to show it to you one more time. One arm across the chest on the right, across the opposite shoulder, right hand on the left shoulder, the other one under the armpit. You're holding yourself. You're basically simply holding yourself here and pushing off the right foot. And when you push with the right foot only, create a nice little side bending. One buttock lifts, in this case my right. One buttock stays, and you can make it as big as you want to, as free as you want to, or just very small, very conservative. That's okay. Whatever feels good to you. Remember, we're making it possible, easy, and graceful, pleasing, fun for you. Now let this go. Place the arms to the side. Rest. Close your eyes and feel yourself and begin to sense, track, as if you're looking for information inside yourself. What is more alive? Activated. Some people feel tingling or vibration. And it's not predictable. I don't know. For me right now, it's my right side, but could be the left for you. So that's okay. No one way to do things, no judgment. Simply observe what is present for you. And if it's maybe a tiny bit easier to find the neutral, so your pelvis is not heavier on either side, you're not arched or rounded, you're simply neutral, open, long. If you can have the space for a little smile. One of my spiritual teachers says, smiling is an act of sovereignty. It's claiming that I'm here, that I'm not distracted. Okay, good. So now we're going to add just one more thing to this movement, which is thinking now that you're sitting on a round clock, okay, or a ball or a circle, like thinking of this circle. And as you take your pelvis in this movement that we're doing, I'm going to repeat the directions in just a minute. Picture the upper quadrant of that circle. So it's a round line. It's not an arrow. It's not a line that is straight. It's round. It's circular. So as you place now the right palm over the left shoulder without collapsing, and the left palm under your right armpit, grabbing your chest, grabbing yourself, holding yourself, and now pressing with the right foot on the ground a little more than the left. The left is completely passive. So you're shifting your weight, and now think of that circle. It's a semicircle. It's just a quadrant on the upper left, and think that you can go around it. I'm not going to demonstrate that. You look for it. Think that with the pushing, you're free to move and explore that left circle. Left half a circle of the upper left is in the direction of your left heel. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just to look for an area that perhaps you never thought about. Okay? So simply go and find whatever you can find. Don't clench your teeth. Relax your breath. And look for the moment where you go, huh? What is she talking about? That's not possible. And just let it go and bring the possibility back into the picture that there's a circle under your pelvis and there's an upper quadrant on the left is closer to the left buttock and the thigh, and you can just move around that area and ignore the rest of the circle. Just find out what's going on there. Is the left hip, is the psoas, is all kinds of muscles, sciatic nerve, places that get jammed when we sit for a while. We sit for so long in these days. So just release, relax, become familiar with that part of yourself, and let the whole rest of your body follow. Your ribs, your neck, your head, whatever you want to do is fine. Everything can move together. I give you permission right now. Don't hold anything back. Okay? Make it small, make it big, make it slow. Play with it. And now come back, return to the neutral place, open up. Notice, how do you feel? What's new here? What's new? Observe, take a moment. If you need a rest, go back to the chair, sit back. But if you don't, just sit upright and notice how light things begin to feel, perhaps. Maybe a little longer in your back. Perfect. And now with a deep breath, we're going to think about the movement to the other side. But first we're going to think about it. Feldenkrais also knew somehow, without machines, without all the research we have these days, that when you think about something, the brain thinks it's real and it's lighting up. So he was using this back in the 50s already. So we're going to think about the movement like the athlete thinks about the race before the race, and we're going to use that power. So think now, your legs are uncrossed, your arms are resting on your thighs, and picture in your mind putting the left palm over the right shoulder, across your chest, and the right palm under the left armpit, and hugging yourself in this way. And now think of the left foot pushing on the ground like you're pushing on a pedal in the car or pushing to jump, and taking your whole body weight to the right and making this easier and easier in your mind. Just think about it. There's no limitations, so if you have any pain or any discomfort in your mind, it's gone. So picture it getting easier and lighter, and you're coming back to neutral and doing it again. Imagine now the left side of your ribs getting shorter, the right side getting longer. Your head is part of this. Just think about it. And when you think about it again, picture that round area in the upper right, and you go around and around it, and it feels like a hula move, like a hula hoop move, but half of it or a quarter of it, and just that, only that, easy, so light. Breathing. You're just working in your mind's eye right now. You're not moving at all. So if you ever wonder, can I do that? I don't know. I don't visualize easily. I cannot visualize. Forget about that for a moment. Just bring in the possibility that as you follow my voice, you can picture your right palm under your left armpit, your left palm over your right shoulder, and you're pushing through the left foot and just creating a little back and forth movement so your body feels asymmetry, difference between right and left, like a slinky. Good. And now as you explore the movement, do it to fill in the gaps of what you couldn't imagine, because maybe this is a new movement. Not for making sure you got it perfect, to see maybe I gather more information now doing it in real life. So place your arm across the chest, left palm on the right shoulder, Right palm under the armpit on the left side. You're hugging yourself. This is such a nice hold. And now as you press on the floor, go slow first and see, can you feel that the right side is changing weight? Did you imagine this? Were you able to? Or you can use the movement now to feel that weight shift. And letting your ribs move. One side will get a little shorter, one side will get longer. Yeah, easy. And now let the body move in a circle around the front right side. Just a little. And if you were to close your eyes and think of your ears, where is the right ear? Where is the left ear? Can you let them move a little? Did you think of this? Or can you add now sensory input with the movements that you couldn't imagine, but now next time you imagine is here, and make it easier for you. Easy and light. And go as big as you feel safe going with this movement. I'll show it to you once. That. To the side, pushing off the left foot. See that I'm letting my side move more because this is my harder side. So I'm guiding it. You can even use this hand on the ribs to say, hey ribs, you can bend. It's safe to bend. It's okay. This arm is completely passive. But the lower arm can gently squeeze these ribs. And now I come to the forward edge and the back, and I go round and round in that circle. It kind of feels like a rocking motion for yourself. And now, if I look at my ears, one ear is lower, one ear is lower, the other one's higher. Okay, good, and let it go. Collect information now as you rest quietly. Noticing which side was easier, maybe the one that you thought the movement through before was easier. It was already happening in your brain. Maybe it was easier because it was the second time and it was not a new movement. And see, how are you now? What is that weight on your buttocks? How's your length? Do you feel happy? I'm sure this is a new movement for most of you here. Do you see that it's getting easier? Can you tell? Now we're going to make it graceful. And grace, elegance, is a very individual notion. What is grace for me may not be grace for you. So be kind now. If you can, with yourself, be kind that maybe you don't even know what is graceful for you. Because maybe you don't do grace so often. Maybe you don't think it's possible for you. But I invite you in to the possibility that we can make it graceful. We can make it elegant. More than anything, we can make it enjoyable to ourselves. So even if it looks funny from outside, you like it. That's the whole premise. So now choose the easier side. I'm going to choose this one because this is my easier side. Right hand on top. But you choose whichever side was easier for you and cross the arms. One hand over the shoulder, one hand under the armpit on the chest so you can guide your ribs. And simply look for ease, pleasure, perhaps some elegance or aesthetic quality for yourself, or you feel like you can like this movement. So for me, to do that, I have to slow down and I have to go a little bit outside the lines. If I go straight to the direction, it's not so pleasing to me. It's kind of boring, maybe because I've done this before. So to find pleasure and ease, I'm going to go personally back a little bit to the lower quadrant, to the back behind, and I'm going to do that. And this rolling feels more pleasing to me than just in the front. And I have permission, and I give you permission to adapt the movement, to go first in the direction of ease for you, and then to make it so it's pleasing, so you like it. So no pressure to make it perfect, simply something that it feels good to you. And I'm gonna do a little back and forth, and I allow you to do whatever you want, even if you want to stay still. I'm going to change over the hands and teach the other side. Look, you can make it easy simply by making smaller, more pleasurable movements on the other side. Reduce the pressure, the effort. Don't try so hard. Just for a moment, it's okay to do very little and to see how does this feel good to me. Only me. Doesn't matter who's watching. No one is judging. No one is giving you a grade or a prize. It's just for you. And again, in this side, I feel like to make it easy for me and pleasurable, I had to go back a little. Back. That feels nice. Okay. I heard a little crack in my hip, so my hip liked that. Come back to neutral. Rest. And observe what just happened. We gave ourselves permission to bend the lines a little, to go away from the rules and just see, what do I need in this moment to feel good? And that did something for me. What did it do for you? Except maybe feeling a little weird, like, is it okay for me to bend that rule, to say no, to go my way, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. At least in this modality, in this work that I do, it's okay. You discover so much actually by doing that. To say, no, wait, I'm gonna go left now. Okay, pause in the middle, and now in your mind's eye, connect the two directions. So picture this circle where no matter which arm is on top, we're gonna go round and around, taking our pelvis in all directions, up or forward and right and back and left, except we're hugging ourselves in this way. There's a purpose for that. I'll tell you in a moment. So picture yourself doing it in your mind and see if you can think of your ribs. They're getting shorter on one side and then you arch and then they get short on the other side and then you round. And your ribs, like a cylinder, they can move in all these different directions. They're very pliable. Your head can participate, your breath. You're gonna be pushing off of one foot and then the other. In your own way, your own rhythm. It's all good. There's not one perfect speed or size of the movement. It's whatever makes you feel good about the movement right now. If you do this again tomorrow, maybe different. Okay, so when you can see it in your mind, instruct your brain to feel if you're doing it and making it lighter and easier. In case this is not so easy for you yet, you're making it easier already in your mind and feeling good about it. Drop judgment for a moment, it's okay. And now cross whichever arm you want on top and just play with the movement, round and around. A big circle for your pelvis. And if you feel tension, like if I go too far, I feel like a little shaking. So I'm gonna do less. No shaking, no pain, no discomfort is needed. It's just a little circle that involves your whole self, torso, feet, pelvis, head, ears, breath. And see at some point if you can let go of being so serious about it and just have fun with this. If you were a child watching, you would say, that's a wiggly, silly little move you're making, and can I copy it? Can I look for it in myself? And they will be silly with it because it kind of looks like a wobbly toy. So see if you can find that sense of ease with yourself. That is more important to find the quality that I'm asking you for, playful, curious, enjoyable, than to get it absolutely right. We do that all day, every day. So carve a moment where you just have fun with this. Don't criticize yourself if it's harder on one side, or making a circle is not so easy and it feels like a triangle or oval. It's okay. Practice will make it easier. So change direction now, come out the other side. And at some point, you can let go of the arms and just keep the circle. You're pushing with one foot, you're pushing with the other, making a tiny circle now, smaller and smaller. And you're keeping your eyes in the front and making a circle smaller and smaller, and just feel your pelvis like a ball. You can imagine it has seeds in it or little marbles or something, and they're rolling and rocking in there, and everything is fluid. Maybe you never thought about your body this way. You're gently pushing on the floor, but it's more about that light circle until it's so small. Make it so small, so small, so small that no one could see it, but you can feel it from within, still there. Still alive, that circle, that gentle, fluid, graceful sense of you with yourself. And now you're breathing and only breathing, but still thinking of that vibration, possibility. And let it all go now and just sense yourself. Feel yourself. Notice what's here, what's present, what came up. If there's any new sensation in your body, or perhaps any new thought or idea. If you are able to suspend judgment for a moment and find ease, thank you for that. And we can always do it again. So now with this presence that you have to yourself, just see, can we take some of this sensation with your body and use it in life? And this is more of a conversation now, so I would invite you to participate if you can in the chat. And you can share anything you want. How did it feel? Any questions? How do you think this could apply to your relationship to yourself, others? Did it make sense to you to find that fluid circle, self-hugging? Did it give you comfort? So again, all the elements are there for you to use, right? Could be even just one of them. Maybe next time you want to play with this, you go to the hold and see how it feels. Maybe the whole session. What's there for you? I'll wait to see if somebody wants to share anything. Oh, wonderful. Great. I love it. Yeah, that was my reaction when I first came up on this work. What did you find great about the noticing? That's so interesting to me. The hold is beautiful, Patrice. Thank you for that. Yes, we call it the self-hug, and it's part of a lot of lessons. Self-hug. Yeah. And I do it all kinds of places. I do it when I'm tired and I want to be held. I do it sometimes if I had a long day and I'm really tired and I'm taking a shower to recover, and I may hold myself under the water. Oh, isn't it fun? Like a rocking, like the baby, right? Yes, so cool. Okay, I like that, Yael. Yes. Well, see, both parts of that are interesting with our relationship to self and others, right? We have to have the boundaries, but we also have to know when to expand, because otherwise you're set in stone. And life is growth, life is movement. Life will keep changing, so we cannot resist life, can we? The different feeling of my left and right arms when hanging in neutral. Nice. Yes, you will see a lot of asymmetries in the way we use ourselves with Feldenkrais, because it's very geared towards functioning symmetrically. So we do a lot of things with one side and then the other side. And you'll notice if your right arm is dominant, it's going to feel tighter. It's going to try to do things first, push harder, lift more. It's like, yes, I got this. So you're going to notice that. And again, when we notice tension, the cue is always to say, okay, I see you, it's fine. No judgment, no self-correcting. Think that in this learning process, this is what it is, we are looking more for positive reinforcement than for punishment. Yes, it's as if you're retraining yourself and you don't want to teach yourself how you wouldn't teach a dog or a child, right? So if you look around and dogs and kids don't like to be scorned and scolded and punished, then you don't either. So we forget that because we're so hard on ourselves. It's in our wiring, right? But it's good to know that it's much better and productive and more efficient to find positive reinforcement. So if you found it easier on one side, said, oh, look how easy this is. Nice. Okay. And the side that has a hard time can learn from that. Instead of saying, oh, my right shoulder is bad. Like I have a bad shoulder. Can't do that. Okay, then. That's it. Done after that. So it's all about creating more space and more possibilities based on what's for me to be grateful for, and notice that it's working fine and I can do more of that on both sides now. Love it. Thank you, Seeds. That's really sweet. I love all your different humanity there. Thank you, hon. I have a question. Did any find something really hard? Is there something that I can improve in my teaching so when I do this again, it's easier? So did you find the pacing? I didn't want to make it too long, but did you find the pacing okay? Was it too fast? Can you hear my accent okay? These are all my little things as a teacher. I've been doing this for almost 15 years, but I still feel sometimes I can improve. We can always improve. So anything I could have done better for you, loves? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Yeah, you can hear me. I'm speaking slower as I guide the lesson. Then at the beginning, I'm so excited to share and be here. All right, my loves. We started on time. I don't want to end too late. I invite you to the next one next weekend. I invite you to follow the page, donate if you can, take a look at my other tracks. And more than anything, I invite you to play with this. Practice, even just the hold on your body or any of the things we did today or you heard today, even just one. Take it, plug it into life, make it yours, see how it applies, see if it makes a difference, and have fun with it. Share it maybe with somebody else and see that even just a little difference is good. That's how we learn. We learn by contrast. So you learn something new today, take it home. Even just this concept, we act in accordance with our self-image, and our self-image is pliable, is expansive, is Play-Doh, doesn't want to be set in stone. Let's move with life. Let's keep growing. Even just that, okay? All right, my loves, I send you a big, big hug. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you. I love you. And I will see you again next time. Okay? Mwah. Goodbye, my dears. See you soon.